Thanks for joining me today for episode 3 of Business in the Bedroom, a bootstrapper's guide to doing it. I'm your host, Jemmy Legagneur, and today I'm going to talk to you about building a portfolio and how reputation matters. This episode is brought to you by Flintstone Media. Listen in and let's do this. So this is episode 3, and I'm recording this episode since publicly announcing that this new show is going to exist, and the response has been really incredible. I'm so excited that you've been so excited, and I think I'm really hitting on a real need out there, which has caused me to pause for a second and emphasize that while I am a podcaster, this show isn't just for people wanting to learn the business of podcasting. Though podcasting will be a lot of my frame of reference, it won't be my entire frame of reference for the message of this show. So this show is really for people of a certain breed, regardless of what it is that you're trying to do. There is a certain breed of us for whom the corporate world just isn't a fit. Or we are in the corporate world right now and feeling stuck, but we really want to make that big dream happen so you can get the heck out of there. That takes a certain breed. And that's who this show is for. Like my friends Daisy, Carrie, and Latrice, hello ladies, who are building amazing spaces in podcasting. But it's also for people like my friend Aaron, who joined in on Dreamers Become Doers on Facebook since I resurrected that group, because he's really hoping that that group will help him motivate himself to write that book that he's wanting to put down. Or my friend Jafla, who, if you're a listener of Curve the Cube, you've definitely met him before. He's an artist who's just accomplishing amazing things left and right after being shown closed door after closed door so many times. Like he just said, F it, I'm just going to do this my way, on my own, and I'm going to end up on television as a multi-award winning animator, dang nabbit. True story. He was not built for the corporate world. Or my friend Nixie, or my son Jordan. They both are aiming to be photographers. Nixie already is one. She's amazing. But that's who it is. If you're trying to get an idea off the ground and you're bootstrapping it at every step, this show is for you. We're simply a certain breed. So yes, podcasting will be a big part of my frame of reference, but I'm gearing this show to apply good tools and action items to anything you're doing. And my frame of reference actually goes way beyond podcasting too. So I know I joked on episode 1 that I wasn't going to give a boring rundown of my background, but it's really because I wanted to wait to do that on this episode, at least a brief run through, because this is the first episode where I'll really begin pulling from a frame of reference beyond my podcasting. So here it is. Here's a quick career timeline of me. After high school, I went to Tulane University in New Orleans, where I got 2 bachelor's degrees in business, one for finance and one for information systems management. And side note, fun fact, information systems management wasn't actually even a major in their business school, and I had to create it and pitch it and get it approved. So I created a major for myself at Tulane because I wanted to study information systems management, not in the engineering school, but in the business school. So side note, tenacity, it works, guys. So I got 2 bachelors in business, one in finance, one in IT from Tulane University. And I also minored while I was there in psychology because, as you'll hear me say time and time again, I just find people fascinating. Then I went to law school at the University of Virginia, which was a top 10 law school. Great opportunity, but I didn't finish. That's a story for another day. Instead, I started a 15-year career as a data analyst. Essentially, I was computer and spreadsheet coding and doing a whole lot of automation. That's essentially what it meant, right? Digging into numbers, which is really helpful in podcasting now because I can look at stats and actually really understand them and break them down. So it's great. Then I had my first experience creating and managing an online community and creating content for it, and all of that went into it when I created a Facebook group called Health Gems. It was all around my weight loss and helping others learn from my lessons and helping me stay accountable. So this was back in 2010 that I really started this. And that entire experience was beyond my expectations. And it was the first time that my eyes were open to the power of the digital marketing space. I was getting emails from and regularly interacting with people literally all over the world, as far away as Australia. It was awesome. And people were relying on me for tips and advice and turning to me with their inspiration and wanting to learn more and helping me help them trudge through the difficult times. It was a lot of fun and an amazing experience that, like I said, it just opened my eyes to what the power of a digital platform can really do. Then I randomly parlayed that experience and discovered I was really good at digital marketing for other people. And I did that by handling a campaign for a local radio show, which I'll share more in depth again on a later episode, or perhaps even several, because there were a lot of lessons that I learned and I can pull out from that experience, both good and bad, but all very valuable for you. You know, this show is really about you learning from my lessons so you don't have to repeat them, or repeat the good ones and just not the bad ones. Then I founded Flintstone Media officially right in the middle of all of that and decided that I wanted to completely leave data analytics and make a move into building a company around digital marketing. So I learned all I needed to know about SEO and website design and development by working for a year or two, maybe, for a really great guy named Jeremy at his company called Juicy Results. Those are both true names. I promise you, I'm not making either of those names up. Jeremy Pound, his company is called Juicy Results, still there. And then I got into podcasting and I did my own show for a couple of years. And that was Curve the Cube, which you heard a couple of clips from on episodes 1 and 2. And in the midst of that, I met an amazing mentor in that space as well, Glenn the Geek of the Horse Radio Network, who then hired me as their production coordinator and taught me the ins and outs of live production, along with giving me an inside look at the business of podcasting. And of course, through all of that, I was building what is now a full-scale podcast production house. And this episode will pull a lot from those early experiences working for people like Jeremy and Glenn, and also creating my own opportunities. And I was also an EMT in college. I can't forget that. Oh, yeah. Did that bring a lot of experience under my belt? I did a lot of random work in college, which you'll become familiar with in due time, but I don't want to scare you off right away. One of the ongoing jobs, as an example, involved the son of the guy who wrote The Exorcist. I'll just leave it at that for now. ... All right, I hate talking about myself that much, so let's move on from that. But let's instead turn into talking about why I thought that rundown was important to run through on an episode about building a portfolio and how reputation matters. You know that expression that basically says that even if you're first asked to sweep the floors, you sweep those floors to the best of your ability and you take pride in it because you never know who's watching and you never know who will see it. That is a true statement. True. There's a reason certain things become known in the world is because they are tried and true. Opportunity can knock even years after you put effort into something that you didn't even think much of sometimes. So always think a lot of it and put effort. You know, one of the reasons why Jeremy hired me, Jeremy Pound of Juicy Results, well, it was because I'd like to think for a lot of reasons, but one of them was because at the time that I applied to work for him, I was about 70 episodes into Curve the Cube. He, on the other hand, was about 7 episodes into his podcast. Enough for him to know just how much work goes into it and to be impressed with my stick-to-itiveness. You never know who's watching. That really impressed him and was one of the main reasons I got my foot in the door. So yeah, there's sometimes when there's something you're doing on your own and you're just loving to do it and somebody ends up discovering it, and that's a really cool thing, and that's how you get to move forward. But you should also very much want to consciously be creating your portfolio and making sure that it lends to your overall positive reputation out there. If you're wanting to be all serious about asking people to turn their hard-earned money over to you for goods and services, you better make sure that you can show that you are willing to work just as hard to earn it. So how do you do this? Well, start with your own stuff, the things that you're creating yourself. So let's say you are an aspiring fashion designer. Well, the first and maybe only things you'll have for a while to show off are your own things. So your own fashion is your portfolio. Every design that you sketched and created, every outfit that you've thrown together, everything that is something you are proud of should be documented. And if your field of concentration is something that is public facing all the time, like website design and development, then you need to make sure you really put your best foot forward all the time. In my case, in the early days of Flintstone Media, I probably spent as much time working to better my own website. Shout out to the future Business in the Bedroom episode 6. You'll hear why when you get there. I probably spent as much time working on my own website as I did collectively working on projects for other people, because my website had to be good enough to attract people to pay me money to make them a website. You see how that works? And also, as I got better and better as a podcast editor and producer and working on my own show, I started thinking about offering my services in that realm to other people as well. So what I started doing as I went along and became actually proud of my skills and what I could do, I would clip out edit samples from Curve the Cube, both before and after. Like, here's what it sounded like raw, and here's what it sounded like after I worked my magic. And I would put those as samples for my portfolio right there on my website. Really, really easy. But this can work no matter where you are in the stages of building your business. If you're an artist, photograph every painting you're proud of, whether you've painted it for yourself or as a gift or as a school project, whatever. It doesn't matter why you painted it. If you have the opportunity to add something to your portfolio, take it. Also, as you go along, be sure to collect testimonials from anyone you can. In my earliest stages, my very first paying customer was my brother, Gerard, who had me put a logo together for him. And yes, blood is thick, and his praises were quite gushing. But hey, it was a testimonial, damn it, so I made the best use of it. Okay, so now that you've collected this stuff, you've taken pictures of your things, you've collected documents of whatever, what do you do with it and where does it go? Okay, first of all, do yourself a favor and keep it well organized. Then also be sure to back it up on an external hard drive, in a cloud system, a digital Dropbox, somewhere other than just your computer. I have personally experienced, both through theft and through computer crashes, what it's like to lose everything. Trust me, you don't want that to happen to your stuff, especially as you're building your portfolio. So make sure that you have it backed up somewhere separate from your own computer. Then put it out there. Make it available online for the whole world to see. So a great option is LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you can add them as projects, updates, or other activities. And the cool thing about LinkedIn is that when you take the time on there, which I really need to do a better job of, to be honest, but when you take the time to keep things updated on LinkedIn, you can easily print out a super professional looking PDF of your resume, CSV, whatever you call it. So on LinkedIn, just be sure to constantly add your milestones, your achievements, your client project work, etc. Put it all on LinkedIn. Then there's a button, you just press it and it creates a PDF of it, and it's a really easy document to share to potential clients to prove your experience and help build your reputation, or just send them the link directly to your LinkedIn profile. You can do that too. LinkedIn's no longer just a place for pocket protector, financial nerds to get social. And I can say that because I have a finance degree, so there. No, it's a legitimate place to increase awareness around you as a professional nowadays in just about any field. So don't ignore LinkedIn. You can also have your own website, and you really should, which is a topic I'll dive super deep into on a future episode, all about the power of SEO, search engine optimization. You know, that thing that makes you pop up in Google search when someone types something and your website pops up first. That's SEO. So I'll talk about that super deep. Separate conversation, another episode. And on your website that you build, you'll want a great description of yourself. You want those client testimonials like my brother's. My brother's glowing logo endorsement is still on my website, y'all. It's true. But yeah, if you get an email from someone who loved your work, just ask them if you can add it as a testimonial on your website. Or if someone puts a comment on your Facebook page, put it on your website. Through whatever means you get testimonials, put it on your website. If there are any articles or write-ups about you, if you're interviewed on a podcast, or if you're a creative whose work is being used by others, like an article you wrote or a logo you designed, link to it online from your website. But your website is a great place to put all that stuff. And you really should. As I said, I'll devote at least an entire episode about how to make the best of your website and get found in searches and stuff like that. So for now, I'll just say to collect all your stuff in local files, back it up in some additional storage somewhere, and then be ready to show it off online. Get started. And to start doing this sooner rather than later, because longevity matters. I am reaping the benefits now of all that SEO effort that I started putting into my website years and years and years ago. If you type in Florida podcasting, Flintstone Media, or Florida Podcast Network, or my own webpage, all that stuff pops up right away. Longevity matters. So start now. And I'll explain all that and why on that future website episode. Oh, and though it should go without saying, be sure that the stuff you put out there is your best, okay? Do good quality work for your clients and then show off the best online. I have a client I just spoke with the other day who I'm doing a special audio project for. Long story short, he got interviewed on a podcast and he wants to make the audio from some of his key points on that interview available as clips on his website so that visitors to his site can hear them and understand the depths of his experience and acumen in his field. So I'm tasked with creating those clips, right? But from a concept standpoint, it's great. Because not only is he able to share that he was interviewed, which is great, but he's also using clips to further build and support his online reputation. This is all the kind of stuff that you need to be doing too. Okay, so you've put yourself out there and you've let the whole world know about it. So now what? Okay, a future episode or several episodes will discuss how to attract new clients, closing sales, all of that. Guys, there's so much I'm going to get into the show. It's crazy. But skipping past that for now, the bottom line is that if you get someone interested in turning over their hard-earned money to you, then reputation matters first, right? But then rise to the challenge, exceed client expectations over and over again. I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to be having a full episode in the future, chock full of ideas on how to do that, how to constantly exceed your clients' expectations and why you should. But as an example, one thing I started doing now in this more current stage of Flintstone Media is that whenever I have a new podcast client launching a show, we'll provide a free gift of 2 or 3 audiograms for them to use to promote it. And then we'll send them these audiograms as a complete surprise, which they love. So it's not only really good for client relations and retention, but it also demonstrates to them what our capabilities are for providing these extra services, almost like a personalized micro portfolio, if you will. And it causes us to constantly create assets too that we can then add to our overall public portfolio for closing new future potential clients. So it's worth it. All right, deep breath. I know we're starting to get into some of the meat of things, and this episode had a lot for you to chew on. But I simply can't stress enough how critical this practice is, and it needs to be something you adopt and work into your systems now. As soon as you either create something great for a client or that something comes across your desk, like a complimentary email, testimonial, or social media post, or something someone's showing off that you created or using your product and they put it on Twitter or whatever, have a place to immediately save that. Sometimes when I'm in a pinch, I'll email whatever it is to myself with a subject line that I'll remember to search for later. So for example, every once in a while, I'll search my inbox for emails from myself with the subject testimonial and add whatever comes up to my website in just a big bunch right then and there. So depending on what business you're building from the bedroom, coming up with a process that you can turn into an easy habit and means of collecting anything and everything that you can and that you should be adding to your portfolio and to help build your reputation, you need to do that. Your future self will thank you. And up next in episode 4, as an extension of starting to explore this topic of building your reputation, I'm going to share some thoughts with you on being professional while wearing pajamas. Thanks for tuning in. I'm assuming you are listening to this because you're either running a business in your bedroom or thinking about it. Well, I want to hear from you. Email me about your business and send me your questions at Jemmy@flintstonemedia.com. That's Jemmy, spelled Jaime, at flintstonemedia.com. Then join the conversation by looking up Dreamers Become Doers on Facebook. Because that's right, you are a dreamer and you're going to become a doer. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter too as Flintstone Media, so you can follow me on any of those platforms. For show notes and details about today's show, head to bizinthebedroom.com. And remember to hit it hard, keep the lights on.